another new releases video coming out thick and fast now, and I think this is number 10, and I'm going to try and rush through these because there's another spate of new releases out this week, and first, of course, I've got to listen to them. Okay, so on this one then, let's get started. Soberish. It's a new album by Liz Phair. I don't know much about Liz, although she came to prominence back in 1993 with her early album. I think it was her debut, Exile in Guyville, which was critically acclaimed. She followed it up with Whipsnut in 1994. Her last album was back a decade ago, Fun Style. She's been very quiet since then, and I think life hasn't been too kind to her, and that's probably why she's not been able to get into the studio. Anyway, here she is. As I say, I don't know those albums very well. I have got Exile in Guyville, but I think I've only listened to it once or twice. But she is probably in the genre of indie rock with attitude, and also maybe a sort of folk singer who basically wanted to make a little bit more of an impact. Anyway, this album, Soberish, the title would indicate some of the issues that may have led to the delay. Soberish is a sort of a state of mind between the past, presumably being drunk, and the future being sober. So it's sort of under control, but not quite kicked. And it's going to reflect this album. It's still very lush, very indie rock, and there's a fair bit of attitude. It's mellow melodicism, I read, and she isn't trying to recreate the guitar rock of those other records back in the 90s. The mixes here are softer and with vocal harmonies, nice keyboards and effects plastered over the submerged guitars, a sound that's patently leaning towards pop but not pop. So that's a brief summary of this, and now I'm going to go on to tracks. Look at the tracks then. Spanish Doors opens. It's a punchy alt rocker, very crisp. The Game, Saccharine Soft Fruit Krona next. Hey Lou, I Lie owes a nod to Beck, although it's about a relationship. The lyric is about a relationship between Lou Reed and Laurie Anderson. I read that. Orchestral strings add to the feel. In there is a moody electronic ballad. Sheridan Road, I like this one. Change of tempo, more acoustic, stripped back, and brings Liz Vokes to the forefront. Very pleasant singer-songwriter material this. Shows her vulnerability. It's a bit of a confession. And then we got Bar Bar. It has a Stevie Nicks sort of feel to it, with a beat to match really, and Soul Sucker, nice electric piano groove here, and finally Bad Kitty, a great opening riff on acoustic, and it's got a sort of a Madonna-ish sound that sneaks in. So I haven't covered all those, but we've got to keep these videos shorter, haven't we? So that's it. Soberish, Liz Phair. Not a bad album, but nothing to really shake the foundations when I put it on. An artist that I've seen on sort of YouTube and on TV. He's highly regarded. His name's Jon Batiste, and this is his new album called We Are. It's a bit of a sort of melting pot of funk, soul, pop, a bit of jazz thrown in, a bit of hip hop. It's his 8th. And Jon was born in Louisiana back in 1986. And his recording career is very impressive. having performed with Stevie Wonder, Prince, Willie Nelson, Lenny Kravitz, Ed Sheeran and Mavis Staples. He released his own recordings and he's also performed in more than 40 countries and guested on a number of other pinnacle artists. I caught him on the Elvis Costello album, Hey Clockface, a little more than a year back. So he regularly tours with his band Stay Human and appears nightly as a band leader and musical director on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. He's been doing that since 2015. So this guy has got a pretty impressive career portfolio. He was a co-composer on the Pixar movie recently released called Soul in 2020, and he received an Academy Award and a Golden Globe and a BAFTA for that work with Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. So now we built him up, I'm going to go on to a little look at the tracks on this album. The track to We Are, the title track, it's very gospel, but I love the crisp production. It was released to support the Black Lives Matter after the death of George Floyd, and it's a real tour de force, very New Orleans style gospel. Tell the Truth next, very funky, right out of the Meters stable, if you recall them back in the 70s. It's very much straight from the Big Easy and pretty easy on the ear. Cry is next. This has got a very seductive beat that feeds into R&B blues, a very weepy ballad, and some nice guitar seeping through with humming harmonies. And to the next track, I Need You Again. This has got funky barroom piano from Batiste, a bit tongue-in-cheek jazz in the mood rhythm, and it's got a boogie woogie that sort of meets hip-hop. Very snappy horns as well. Rap on the next outing. It's what you're talking about. That's a one word, by the way. Rap vocals. It makes you chuckle, and it's a bit of a piss take really on political shenanigans in the US of A. Boyhood's next. It's a funky ode really to the Big Easy that finds Baptiste and fellow New Orleans natives PJ Morton and Trombone Shorty celebrating the memories of life in that town. Movement 11th is next. It's a bit of a piano recital of sorts, but it's very impressive, and you can hear some pedal steel guitar back in the mix. Then to Adulthood. Now this skips through R&B fields and adds some hip hop, and then the funky horns join the party. Mavis and Freedom are segued together, a bit of a rally for freedom with all the ingredients of black music, with a snippet of that funky, groovy, fun feeling. And then we move on to Show Me the Way. It's straight out of the Detroit staple 80s Townsend area, and it sounds great. It's funky, it's got great vocals, both lead and backing. And then Sing. This is beautiful. The trumpet oozes back in the mix, very funky pop. And then there's a tasteful piano piece with Negro chatter that's simply spot on. Well, I'm glad I've found this album. It was an absolute delight listening to it. I hope I've conveyed some of the mood on this review. It will get repeated listens, and I'm sure it's going to be in my top 20-30 at the end of the year. There we have it then. We Are by Jon Batiste. This is Hotel Surrender by Chet Faker. His real name is Nicholas James Murphy, born in June 88. He's an Australian singer and songwriter, and he's released 4 albums, second as his moniker, Chet Faker, and 2 as James Murphy. Work that one out. Anyway, the music, electronic pop, Very down tempo, got a bit of hip hop thrown in, nice pleasant stuff. And here's a very quick look at the tracks. Starts off with Oh Me Oh My, a spoken intro leads to a soulful string arrangement backdrop. It's slinky, it's charming, it's got a hip hop beat, and it reminds me a little bit of Isaac Hayes. Low's next, a sonic dub-like sound that throbs. Get High follows. Solid funky jazz piano leads us to a funky beat on this. Track 5, It's Not You, very much electro hip hop, which switches into a smoochy ballad. And then further along, I Must Be Stupid, it's got some tasty hooks and nice guitar bits side by side with the soulful harmony vocals. Nearly done, So Long So Lonely, lazy vocals knit together with the sax to create an atmosphere of emotional intensity, and a strong finish from the final track, In Too Far. This album I've only listened to a couple of times, probably need a couple more listens, but it's certainly one to hang around to. Not a bad effort. So Hotel Surrender by Chet Faker. On in this episode, Seeking New Gods by Gruff Rhys. His real name is, and I'm going to try my Welsh here, as I am a descendant from 2 Welsh parents. And just to be flash, I remember I was taught by my father the longest word in the language, Welsh and English. That's probably not what it was, but I've aged. Anyway, Gruff Rhys was born in 1970. He's a Welsh musician, composer, producer, filmmaker and author. He performs solo, and he's known for his work with the Super Furry Animals, a band that he fronted really back in the 90s. This album, Seeking New Gods, is a concept album about an ancient volcano on the China-North Korea border that apparently, allegedly, has mythical properties. And it's probably one of his most imaginative solo records. However, I haven't caught the 6 previous. This is his 7th. And I've listened to his nearly 4 times now, and it gets better on every listen. Tracks opens up with Mausoleum of My Former Self. There's a nice piano that catches your attention before Gruff adds the trudgy vocals, catchy chorus and mushy synths with some tasteful trumpets enhance the pop indie feel. It's got an ambling psych folk meditation to it on how the volcanoes inevitably linger longer after they've erupted. News to me, although I did actually stand on top of one in Indonesia. Next up is Can't Carry On. More catchy melodies. Loan Your Loneliness, that's Loan by the way, is a nice track. It's got some nimble electronic experiments throughout this jaunty pop ditty. Easy on the ears, the synths resonate in a feel-good fashion. And so to the title track. Very Beatlish, I thought, this one. Sounds of Abbey Road flowed over me. Those lush harmonies, I think, and some tasteful guitar, albeit in small doses. Lightning's next, more spiky and more rockier than others. It's got a bit of a barroom piano. And next up is Honest of the Holy Men. Echoes of ELO when I was listening to this, but it's still quirky pop, a distinctive guitar break to this strong track. And then The Keep. The vocals remind me of the Beach Boys a little, church-like harmonies coupled with the hint of chaos in the driving rhythm. Everlasting Joy is not quite as appealing, a bit ploddy, less distinctive. And then we get on to Distant Snowy Peaks which is the finale. And here it's certainly exceptional. Psychedelic closer with piano and spiraling electronics. And it's got a choir-like harmony to it. Has an air of the Orient, of Far Eastern minds. The album's a grower, as I said. And familiarity certainly pays off. So there we have it. A nice album to finish. Seeking New Gods by Gruff Rhys. Get to listen to it. So that's this one done and dusted. I'm trying to get 2 out a week because I've still got tons to do. I will be covering next time, hopefully, Angelica Kidjo. Also a bit of time for Lindsey Buckingham and the others I can't remember. But there will be another very soon.